Alright guys, so for this week I decided to do something a little different. Rather than me ranting and bitching about something going on in my life, I decided to talk about something a little bit more serious. Obviously this week is about suicide prevention. Everything going on, like Suicide Prevention Day is today, however this week is entirely dedicated to suicide prevention. So I brought a couple friends along with me to talk about the struggles that we have gone through. I brought Sierra and I brought Sam. Now, we've all talked about everything that we have gone through. We know exactly what has happened between us. And I decided to let them share their stories as well as my own in order to tell you that you are not alone. You are never alone, and you should always, it's always okay to seek help, no matter what. And so I'm going to let Sam Brinkman start off with this and start talking about it, seeing as she has started her suicide and prevention bullying marathon over Labor Day weekend in Indianapolis, and I wish I could have gone this year. I really wish I could have. Unfortunately, I couldn't have. Okay. But it is there. We're here. Everybody is here to help. So I'm going to let you go off.
Hi, guys. So again, my name is Sam. I personally have dealt with depression and attempted suicide a couple attempts. And basically what started all of this is, I've known hardship from a very young age. I'm only 20 years old. I've been through things, and I went to college, and I had sort of an identity crisis in a way. I was thrown into this world that I didn't feel like I was prepared for, and I felt lost. And on top of feeling lost, I had people harassing me online over Twitter, Instagram, random numbers texting me just awful things, saying, you're worthless, no one likes you, you have no friends. And after someone says that to you for a while, you start to believe it, and those negative thoughts really get inside your head, and they kind of plant a seed and they grow in a way. And I started to believe that, and one day I decided, enough is enough. I can't handle this. I don't know how to handle this. And I thought the only way out was to kill myself. And as I was about to, I had started to, and by the grace of God, my mom walked in early from work. And I was very fortunate to have someone that stopped me from ending my story in a way that it shouldn't have ended. And she took me to the stress center, and it was a very eye-opening experience while I was in there. Really put things into perspective. And while I was there, I was able to detach myself from the situation and realize, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm not going to let what those people say define who I am, because what I think of myself defines who I am. And I left the stress center feeling kind of refreshed but scared at the same time. I was kind of, in a way, angry with my mom, because I was like, she took me here. All these people are going to judge me now. They're going to find out about this, and they're going to think I'm crazy. And you're not crazy. And, people did find out. People did call me crazy. People did say the things that I thought they were going to say. And I thought, I am such a coward. I can't handle this. And I started to think, again, that the only way out was to do that. And I was fortunate enough to have people to stop me from myself. Not everyone is. And I'm very grateful for people like this lady right here that rallied around me and really helped me love myself again. And that's something it's a journey that you have to take every day. Every day is a step, and it's going to be hard, but you can do it, and you can make it out of it.
I can agree with you more than 100%. You just need that support team, someone that's going to help you. Now I'm going to let Sierra take it away, and you can go ahead and talk.
Okay, so I'm Sierra. I started dealing with depression I feel like I dealt with it a lot younger of an age than what maybe before I realized I did. Both of my parents are addicts. My dad has been an alcoholic for my entire life, and whenever I was a kid, my sister and I had to go over there, and he was always just very you know, like mentally, emotionally abusive. He never hit us or anything, but, you know, sometimes words do really hurt a lot more than maybe what physical abuse does. And so from a young age, it started to make me feel like worthless. You know, your dad telling you, like, basically, I mean, even if he didn't explicitly say, like, you're a piece of shit, like, you know, that's what you start to feel like whenever you have to deal with that from a young age. And so, you know, for a long time, my mom was, like, kind of a safe zone. Like, we always felt like, even if we had to deal with that bad part, that, like, my mom was always there, and, like, we were safe around her, and we didn't have to deal with that sort of thing. And then, whenever I was, like, 8 or 9, she started doing, she became addicted to prescription painkillers. And so, you know, I mean, for a while, she acted like normal, and then her addiction escalated as well. And both of my parents were, like, in and out of jail, and, like, we lived with, like, various relatives. I had, like, one grandma who was, like, particularly abusive toward my sister and me. The same thing, like, emotionally abusive, mentally abusive, and, you know, just having to deal with all of that from such a young age, it just, like, took such a toll, you know? I mean, I started to feel like I wasn't worthy of, like, being loved, because, you know, as a kid, you may not understand, like, what addiction is. You don't understand that, like, it's not a choice, like, what some people may think it is. It's, like, I mean, it's a mental thing, it's a chemical thing, but you don't always realize that. And so from your perspective as a kid, you think, like, my parents don't love me enough to just give it up, you know, which is, it's so hard. It's so hard to always have that thought in your mind. And, like, you know, I went to counseling and stuff when I was a kid, and I had counselors, like, betraying my sister and my trust. Like, they would tell, whenever we lived with my grandma, they would, like, tell my grandma, like, things that we told her, which is completely, like, betrayal of confidence. Like, that's not what counselors are supposed to do from a young age. So by the time I was, like, a teenager, I already, like, didn't trust people who were supposed to be there to help you with, like, things like anxiety or depression or whatever, you know. So it was a very, like, overwhelming feeling of thinking, you know, that I was alone in this, and that, you know, and I do have, like, an incredible family, and I had, like, some pretty, like, good friends at the time, but I don't know, at the same time, I just felt, like, isolated, and I felt like I couldn't trust people enough to turn to anyone. And so I've never, like, actually attempted suicide, but there have definitely been, like, points in my life where I'm just like, you know, I don't want to be here anymore. And that's such a terrible feeling. It's such a bad feeling whenever you don't feel as though you have a reason enough to be here on this earth anymore. Yeah. And however I dealt with it, I got past those things, you know, and then I got through high school, and I got to college, and then again it was like, you know, I'm dealing with this whole other thing where I'm having, like Sam said, like, an identity crisis. You know, you're like, what do you want to do with your life? There's so much pressure, like, outside pressure from people trying to push you into, like, people trying to push you into thinking that you're crazy if you don't know what you want to do with your life. And
it seems like everyone's got it together except you. And that's not
first
true.
of all,
it's not true.
Nobody has it together.
Nobody has it together.
Let's just talk about that right now. But nobody has their shit together.
I still don't know what I'm doing, honestly.
But people do make you feel like you're crazy if you don't have any idea what you want to do.
Yeah,
and for a long time, it was really frustrating. And, you know, there were days where there are still days where I can hardly get myself out of bed in the mornings. But fortunately, you know, I found what I think I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's such an amazing thing. And it's allowed me to surround myself with really awesome people who have the same interests as me. Like Courtney. That's how I met Courtney.
Exactly.
Is through, we're both anthropology majors. And so
we don't have our shit together.
No, we don't, but that's okay, you know.
At least you can laugh.
Some days are better than others, and, you know, that's part of the struggle of being depressed, is that, you know, people think of people being depressed a certain way. They think that, like, if you're depressed, you are always sad, or, like, you know, you're always, like, excluding yourself from the group or whatever, and that's not the case, you know. Like, there may be a period where you're like that, and then you, like, actually want to be around people. And it's like, it's hit or miss every day, and some days are worse than others. Some days you can't get yourself out of bed, and some days you just like long to be around other people. But that doesn't mean that you're still not struggling just because you have like a day where you're happy.
No.
You know? And so I feel like that's why it's hard for some people to take issues like depression seriously sometimes, is that they not
kind
always,
of like make it a minuscule situation. They like tell you somebody else has it worse and kind of like demean how you feel.
yeah.
And the thing is like, even with that too, like, yes, somebody else could possibly have it worse. However, like, at the same time, you're dealing with your own problems, where it's just like
Everyone
literally
has a
eating
different-
away at you, and like your insides, like it's eating away, and it's just like a destructive force.
Yeah, and saying something like that, you know, sometimes it puts things in perspective if you're just being like, you're worrying about like petty things that really don't matter. But like, if you
If you
really
have
something that's, like,
anxiety, it can eat you a lot.
yeah, if it's something
People
that's
don't
like affecting
understand
your
that.
daily life, if it's something that's affecting your daily life, you can't think about it like that, because then it's just making it seem like, you know, you shouldn't get help. You're just being like whiny or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's incredibly problematic.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like you shouldn't seek out help even if you're feeling bad, you know, or whatever.
And the thing is like, even like most people like don't seek out help. Like, you didn't. I didn't.
I thought I was strong enough
You
to
didn't.
handle it on my own, and I was very wrong.
And the thing is like, people go through different things. Like, for me personally, like, I went through like years of abuse growing up as a child. Like, years of verbal, physical abuse. I never actually like thought about it as a child. I actually thought that was like how most people grew up. Like, I thought that's how most families were.
Ditto.
But yes, it was wrong. It was not correct. And the thing is like, by the time I got older, like, I was in high school, that was the first attempt that I had tried to do anything to myself and tried to kill myself. And at the time, like, it didn't really do anything. Like, I didn't really try, like, but I was just like, okay, like, you know what, you're just sad. You're not really depressed. Like, you're going to get through this. Like, whatever. So, like, I went through, and then when I got to college is when I, like, severely got depressed. And at that time, like, I didn't actually think I was depressed. I just thought that I was sad. However, like, there's one night, like, I was very sad. I couldn't see my family. I hadn't seen them in months. I hadn't seen, like, my brother or sister. I hadn't, like, seen people that I really cared about. I hadn't had any friends. Like, this is when I first got to college, and I actually tried to kill myself. And I used a scarf, I choked myself, and I passed out. I honestly thought I was dead. I woke up on the floor, and I was just like, why are you alive? I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, why are you alive right now? And still, I denied help. Like, I still denied help. I just denied seeking out anybody else. And the thing is like, it got to the point where it was so bad where I physically started to hurt myself. And then that's when I realized that, like, something's not okay. Something's not, like, right. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I looking at myself in the mirror and thinking to myself, like, I hate what I'm looking at? Like, I sought out help, and honestly, like, it's not a flighting moment. Like, as Sam and both Sierra said, it's not a flighting thing. Where it's just like, you're sad. Yes, you get sad. People get sad all the time. However, when you're physically and, like, mentally depressed,
It's like
It-
the lowest of the low. Like,
it hits
Can't
every
get yourself
nerve.
out of bed.
Yeah, exactly. It hits every nerve. Like, there was a point in time, like, last semester, I literally didn't go to class for a week. I don't remember why I was so upset at this point in time, but, like, I just remember being like, I can't move. I don't want to move. Like, I just remember, like, laying in bed and not doing anything. And the thing is you always have to remember that there are people out there that are just, like, going through
You're not
everything.
alone.
You're not alone. I found these two girls, like, randomly. I met her through Express, and we randomly, like, talked about it. I met her through Anthropology, and the best part is like, we all are going through something that's different. And that's the thing that you have to take away from this video, is everything is different. Every, like, emotion you're feeling, every, like, anything you're feeling is different. If you feel depressed, if you feel upset, seek help.
don't
It's
be
okay.
afraid what other people think. Honestly, I was so scared of what people would think because there's such a negative stigma on that, and it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be human and stumble sometimes.
Yes.
And as long as you get back up and you keep fighting, you get the help you need. It's okay. And just surround yourself with positivity. Like, positive people, whatever it may be. Surround yourself with it.
Yeah, and I had a lot of mistrust in, like, counselors because of my previous experiences with them. And there was one day last year where I just, like, for, like, 3 days, I, like, hardly could drag myself out of bed. And I was like, I realized, I need to go talk to somebody. And I went to the counseling services here at school. And,
Helpful spot.
Yeah, and I felt a lot better. And I did, like, some workshops about, like, anxiety and depression. And it, there are still days where, that are worse than others, but it's kind of helped me to, like, cope with it, which is it's such an amazing feeling to feel like you're kind of a little bit more in control than what you realize you are sometimes.
And it's amazing to feel like somebody understands you.
Yeah.
To feel like you belong and that you're not an outcast and you're not crazy.
And the thing is like, you need to find that support system.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I found mine. I have these two beautiful ladies next to me. I have the support system I need, and you honestly, like, everyone, like, I'm talking out to people who are struggling. I'm talking out to people who aren't struggling, but, like, still, like, if your friends are struggling. I had a friend kill himself my sophomore year. Nobody knew it was coming. It's still the saddest thing that has ever happened in my life, and I still am sad about it. But the thing is like, if you're struggling, if anything's going wrong, you need to reach out for help, whether it's with your friends.
And if you notice someone struggling,
yes,
give them that nudge that they need to go get the help, because people can appear so happy on the outside but be so broken on the inside.
Exactly.
And that's why you need to be kind to everyone and just know that you're loved and you are so worthy of just keep pushing on.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Your friend group and your family can be such a huge
impact.
Yeah, they can be such a huge part of, like, your support system. Mm-hmm. And some people may not have that, and that's why it's so important to, even if you don't have that, if you don't have, like, a close friend you feel like you can talk to, if you don't have close family members, that's why people are there who work in, like, psychological services, like counselors. And it's not a sign of weakness if you turn to somebody like that. That's such a hard mindset to get over, is like, oh, I can't deal with this. I can deal with this on my own. You think you can do it on your own, but you can't. It's okay if you can't. It's okay to accept the fact that you can't do everything on your own. Nobody can do everything on their own.
That's the thing.
And
it's
if
like,
you don't have that support system, listen to what we're saying. Whether we know you or not, we care about your life and we want you to keep going.
and my thing is like, I really want you guys, like, at this point in time, to take this video to heart. I want you guys to listen to, like, our words of wisdom. I want you to seek whatever help you need in order to be okay. And I want to thank you guys for listening to both Sam's, Sierra's, and mine story. Like, we want to thank you guys, and we hope that you just do not take this with a grain of salt, and that you actually listen to our stories.
And know that you're loved.
Know that you are loved. Every single person in this world is loved.
You're
And
not alone.
don't ever doubt that
And we
it's
love
okay
you.
to seek help.
And we love you too.